Thank you very much. Okay. Dear professors, dear doctors, dear students. So, what can I say in 10 minutes? Before preparing my speech, I thought long time what should be a topic, because history and even current bilateral relation were yet presented or described or analyzed. And I decided, to present foreign policy of the Republic of Poland towards the Islamic Republic of Pakistan from the point of view of our prime ministers and ministers of foreign affairs. And then I analyzed the period from 1981 until 2021. And I analyze expose of prime ministers and information of basic direction of Polish foreign policy, which were presented by Polish ministers of foreign affairs. Before the same is the name of the lower chamber of the parliament. Yes, and then we can say that after the Second World War, Poland and Pakistan founded themselves in opposing political and military blocs. So there were no, we can say, such assumptions to establish a strong relation, but despite it was stated that in 1962 the diplomatic relations were established, and Pakistan was the first Islamic state which established such a relation with Poland. And then if we go to the expose of Polish prime ministers, I analyze 17 prime ministers, but 4 of them presented expose 2 times. It was Tadeusz Mazowiecki, Marek Belka, Donald Tusk, and the last our prime minister Mateusz Mazowiecki. And you should remember that after 1989, we had a possibility to create independent, we can say, democratic foreign policy. Before this period, we are very much dependent on Soviet Union. And then was a agreement, a consent among political elites and majority of society that we should join Western institutions and organizations. And main direction was very obvious: go west, go to the go to European Union and North Atlantic Treaty Organization, means NATO and other organizations. So there were and there are our priorities, and we can say also that also regional activity of Polish foreign policy was also one of the priorities, to build new organizational structures like Visegrad Group, or now we can say about Three Seas initiative. And of course, after the collapse of the East Bloc, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, we got new neighbors. And it was also priority to sign friendship agreements with our new neighbors. And other regions of the world was out of our priorities. Even Asia. I can say you very shortly how it was, but Asia was always mentioned as a potential region for economic, trade cooperation, and so on. And some countries were mentioned, and of course, China, Japan, Republic of Korea, and India, and nothing, almost nothing more. And we should also know that expose of Poland's prime ministers dealt mainly with the most important internal problems. And as I said, in the context of foreign policy, only the most important priorities of this policy were emphasized. And a very general reference was made to the cooperation with other regions or countries in the world. If we look at this expose between 1989 and 2009, Asia or Asian were mentioned only 14 times, mostly in the context of cooperation and at the very general level. China and Chinese 7 times, India 1 time. So, if we look at the Tadeusz Mazowiecki, the first prime minister after transition, he mentioned only that our interest is to cooperate, especially economically, with the newly industrialized countries in Asia, Africa, Pacific, Middle East, and Latin America. Nothing more, very general. And Jan Krzysztof Bielecki mentioned whole group of regions and states. It was Japan, Australia, Israel, but no China, no India, and of course no Pakistan. And then in some expose of Polish prime ministers, there were just nothing about Asia, nothing about China, about other countries. For example, Włodzimierz Cimoszewicz, as a prime minister, said, we see opportunities to develop comprehensive cooperation with Republic of Korea, Japan, People's Republic of China, India, and many other countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America, Australia, and Oceania. And also, the next Polish prime ministers also mentioned some Asian countries, but no Pakistan was appear. India, China, Japan, and Jarosław Kaczyński, as a prime minister, said how importance he underlined importance Asia, especially East Asia, and according to his declaration, we want to be present there both economically and culturally. So it was about expose of prime ministers. But if we go to our foreign ministers, the situation is a little bit different. And it was dependent on the situation also in the world. For example, after 11 September 2001, the anti-terrorist coalition was established by United States, and engagement in Afghanistan caused that we also rely a little bit on relation with Pakistan in the context of security, peacekeeping, stabilization missions, and so on. And then going to the first, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Krzysztof Skubiszewski, he said mentioned only Republic of Korea and some oil states on the Arabian Peninsula. and just nothing. But because time is running, I would like to give you 2 or 3 examples. One is from Anna Fotyga, short term as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But it was in 2007 when Pakistani President Musharraf visited Poland, and there were 5 sentences about Polish-Pakistani relation, but mostly in the context of the stabilizing situation in the region, not about cooperation. It should be here mentioned. The minister Stefan Meller mentioned Japan, Republic of Korea, and ASEAN countries. And the only exception was Minister Adam Rothfeld. It was in 2005, because he said the rank, importance, and attractiveness of such partners as China, India, Pakistan, Thailand, Indonesia, and then many others will grow. It was really an exception, because in other speeches of our foreign ministers, I did not find some connection with Pakistan. There were declarations that we are not a growing important of Asia, potential continent for economic cooperation, but nothing more about Pakistan. In 2013, very interesting, when Radosław Sikorski was a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it was a question from Polish MP Tadeusz Iwiński. Please explain us, why did you close Consulate General in the largest city of strong country as a Pakistan? It was Consulate General in Karachi. And as we know, this is time to reopen. Third Secretary. So, then if we go to the summary or some conclusions, I can underline again that Asia is the role of Asia in Polish foreign policy is growing, but gradually and slowly, because the main partner was China, but because of geopolitical situation, we are very close ally of the United States. This is some clash, not civilizations, but now is a clash in many fields, and therefore China, according to me, will play important role, but not so great as we thought a few years ago. And also, if we look at the documents of Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there were mentioned in 2004 that because it was the first document in which states were divided into priority, important, and non-priority countries. And I can say that Pakistan was included not as a priority, but as among important countries for Polish foreign policy. But if we look at the Polish foreign policy strategy 2017 and 2021, it's only South Asia is mentioned, but Pakistan, unfortunately, not. But we can see in last years that some kind of Europeization of our foreign policy toward Asia, and this is good direction. because, for example, Germany is for us also good examples that Germany developed relation not only with China and India, but also with Pakistan. And this, I think, is a good direction. And also, we can see economization of foreign policy. And then, if it was said that there is a quite good potential to develop economic trade cooperation. And if we look at the official statements, in 2017 was a Polish-Pakistani political consultations, and it was the Polish-Pakistani relations were described as friendly, but have not been for two sides expressed satisfaction at friendly and cordial nature of bilateral ties. And according to Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the relationship is described as our connection has been ever friendly, positive, and respectful. So it's a declaration, it's very optimistic, and let's do it in practice. So thank you for your attention.